Restas, cremvese azantes. Welcome, video lovers. Welcome to Tech Nerd 1.0. Fellow humans, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today, we are diving into a fascinating project. I think we're going to be doing some. Now, this is one of those maybe not should you or maybe not could you, but can you videos, in that we're going to try to modernize the kind of classic M1 Carbine into a tactical role for 2025. So we're not advocating any of this. So this is sort of scientific experiment time. So we're transforming this vintage piece of firearms history into something that could serve as home defense tool, maybe survival or apocalypse type thing. We're going to be exploring everything in this video. We're going to do everything from some historical context to some hands-on upgrades. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, folks, chapter 1, and this is the M1 Carbine. Now, this M1 Carbine that I have here, this is technically not a Milsurp carbine. This is actually a reproduction, and this is by Auto Ordnance. They make a very, very nice copy or reproduction of the M1 Carbine. And these did start coming out a few years ago. It is kind of an oddity in the firearms universe because a lot of these Milsurp items, very few of them actually end up having reproductions. Very, very few. And even some of the ones that are more popular, like say something like the SKS, and we've talked about this before, I doubt that would ever happen. This is something obviously that could be done, I guess, inexpensively enough so that the companies feel they can sell it and still make some profit. But even being that, these are quite pricey. It reaches a point when the actual military surplus item gets so expensive and so hard to find, and there is still an audience of people who would like them. That's when the reproductions come into being. I really kind of doubt we're going to see any of those. Now, there are sort of M14 reproductions. Springfield has its M1A. I doubt we're going to see any others. I very much doubt we'll ever see an SKS reproduction. I doubt we'll probably ever see something like a Mosin Nagant reproduction, although they did make a 22 repro. There are some companies that tried to make an STG reproduction that kind of failed, or at least failed for now. Anyway, so understand that this is not an original, but pretty much everything we're going to do with this one can be done with an actual military surplus M1. The M1 Carbine has a storied history dating back to World War II. It served there as a lightweight semi-automatic rifle for support troops. It is renowned for its compact size and ease of use. It was a favorite among paratroopers and officers alike. Its design was revolutionary for its time, offering an ideal balance of firepower and portability. Actually, Audie Murphy, the very famous Audie Murphy, who received Medal of Honor, I believe it was, correct me if I'm wrong, he actually used it in the situation that got him awarded. Now, in the Korean conflict, there was some talk that these weapons were too underpowered, that the 30 carbine round was too underpowered, and that it was not piercing the clothing, the frozen clothing of North Korean troops. That's pretty much been proven completely false, I think. In these times, people have done experiments on that. We can try to do one. Have to get some clothing, and I guess I'd have to freeze it and maybe see if it would pierce. But but I think, again, I think it's kind of silly. Of course it would. But just understand that the M1 Carbine did come under some degree of criticism during its time. So, but as we fast forward to 2025, the role of home defense has evolved. The original M1 Carbine was never really intended to fill today's tactical niche. So that's where our modernization project comes into play, redefining this classic into something that's both functional and modern Let's go. Chapter 2, the 30 carbine ammunition. Okay, so I'm going to put up a few pictures of some 30 carbine rounds. I don't have any on my bench because I am a responsible YouTuber and I do not keep live ammunition on the bench with my firearm. The 13 carbine round has its own set of pros and cons. On the plus side, it's relatively low recoil, makes it very manageable, and it's very lightweight, designed to allow the soldier or person in question to carry more ammunition during its service. However, in a tactical or home defense situation, its stopping power could be somewhat underwhelming compared with modern rounds. This means that the 30 carbine cartridge is historically significant and practical for certain applications. Any tactical conversion must consider these factors carefully. Perhaps even look at compatibility with more modern calibers, though that would require more extensive modifications. I don't think anyone is going to want to convert one of these to another caliber. There is a company that makes a reproduction of one of these. I think it's Chiappa, if I'm not mistaken. They make a 9mm version of one of these. That would probably make more sense in today's market. It would be sort of a PCC version of this, but the market for something like that is pretty small. Why would someone get a PCC M1 carbine when you can get something that's like, the Ruger PC carbine or Caltech or something like that? Would be kind of silly to do that unless you were something like a reenactor or you just really like old guns. Really, that would be the only reason for it. Now, the meat of today's project is the modernization. We're going to add two key upgrades. First off, we're going to add a stock. And what we have with us today, this is the Chocate synthetic folding stock. And I bought this a while ago. I have put it on here before. I have actually fired it. It is kind of fun. Whether it turns it into something tactical, we'll have to see. And then the other thing we're going to do is we're going to use this cheese grater handguard, and we're going to use that as a possible place to mount an optic. So what we need to do first is we need to go ahead and install this, and then we're going to kind of show everyone what this looks like with it. Now, unfortunately, I cannot show you the installation of the stock or even the handguard on YouTube. So you're going to have to trust me on how this is done. But if any of you know how to break down an M1 carbine, it's pretty simple. So we're going to pause. We're going to go ahead and install this, and then we'll be back. All right, fellow humans, we are back, and here we are with the Chocate stock installed, as well as the cheese grater, which was on there before. So we'll just take a little kind of look at this stock and what this offers. Now, these still are available. Probably enough old ones out there, new old stock that's out there. If you did want one, you should be able to find one. Now, I just wanted to note, because I know someone's going to call me on this, I did not put the restraining screw in here just because I didn't want to fumble with it. And I'm probably going to put this back in its original configuration after this. But this is what it would look like with this. And this was a very, very popular conversion. I would say 70s, 80s, maybe. This was pretty popular to take one of these and convert it. And, this is a folding stock, if you want to fold it. And because this is a, sort of turning bolt action, there is no system back here. These stocks does offer a little bit more control in that you do have the pistol grip. You can get a slightly better hold on it and probably a little bit better in aiming. This stock not only offers modernization aesthetics, but also provides improved ergonomics and a more compact profile, essential for tactical maneuverability or maneuverability inside a home or apartment or something like that. The folding design enhances portability and can be a game changer in confined spaces. Also, in some apocalyptic sci-fi scenario, traveling through the wasteland, it's a lot easier to fit this in a pack or something like that with the stock folded. Installation revolves removing the original stock, ensuring all the mounting surfaces are clean, free of debris, carefully aligning the new stock, and all of that, which again, unfortunately, I cannot show you, but you can find legacy videos out there that still show this, that for some reason YouTube has not taken down, but they would take mine down if I did show it. Okay, so number 2 is the cheese grater stock, the upper hand guardrail. It's a unique design. A lot of conversions use this, even with the wood stock the way I had it, just to give it something of a, I don't know, more tactical look and maybe provide some additional airflow on the barrel. The unique design of this handguard is both functional and visually striking. It offers enhanced heat dissipation, critical feature during rapid fire scenario, and provides a robust platform for mounting accessories. Now that is if you did what I did here, drilled and tapped couple holes here to mount a Picatinny rail. Now I don't have it mounted right now and I'm not going to, but you can see pretty much that allows you to have a more stable platform. Now there will be those that argue that these handguards are not secure enough to mount something on, or that they might get too hot and that might melt your optic. I kind of doubt with M1 30 carbine ammunition that that's going to happen. And as far as accuracy goes, it's accurate enough to get done what you're doing. You're not going to be looking at making 1 or 2 MOA shots with a 30 carbine anyways. So what you're looking for, minute of target basically in that instance. So attaching the rail means you can now add a red dot optic or green dot, whichever you feel. I suppose you could also mount a scout scope, although again, this is not that type of rifle for long range precision. It does improve your target acquisition in low light situations, provides, and once the rail is in place, mounting the optic is pretty straightforward. You just connect it to the Picatinny rail and you're about done. So you don't need too much to do any of these projects. Really, just a screwdriver is all you need. And this is what you're going to end up with. So that would provide you a accurate enough platform that would give you, minute of deer, minute of woodchuck, minute of ghoul, minute of super mutant, that would allow you to defend your home or defend your encampment from some rampaging wastelanders, something like that. So again, it's 2 fairly simple additions that can really bring this weapon to a usable item in modern day, or in a somewhat fantastical apocalyptic scenario. So moving on to chapter 4, evaluating the modernized platform. So here we go. This is what we've got with these upgrades in place. We now have an M1 Carbine that not only honors its historical roots, but also meets the modern tactical requirements. And the addition of the chocate folding stock gives it sort of a contemporary feel, while the addition of the Picatinny rail and the red dot gives you enhanced optical abilities in light and dark. So that said, the platform is not without its compromises. Again, as we spoke about before, the 30 carbine round, as mentioned, might not offer the stopping power expected in high powered rifles such as like an AR or an AK-47, SKS, anything like that. Plus, while the modifications improve ergonomics and functionality, they also deviate from the original design, something collectors are definitely going to frown upon. And that also is another item you want to discuss. If you're in some sort of fantastical apocalyptic scenario where this is something you're using for the end of the world, you may be looking at gray manning it, where this stock would allow you to do that quite well. This one is not. because this definitely looks black and scary, where it looks more like grandpa's hunting rifle. So that is something to consider as well. All right, so moving on, our last chapter, chapter 5, moral and practical considerations. So again, this is a reproduction, but if you have an actual period military surplus M1, this is something to think about before you bubba. Modernizing a collectible like the M1 isn't just about aesthetics and performance, it also raises some ethical questions. For many enthusiasts, these rifles are relics of history, and altering them permanently can diminish their collectible value. And it even a lot of collectors will even, they will even forward that you're changing history, or you're making a permanent change to history. Every modification to one of these should be done with the intent of being reversible, ensuring that if you ever want to decide to revert the item to its original state, it can be done without irreversible damage. And everything we have done here today is exactly that. The stock can easily be taken apart or taken off. The handguard can be taken off. You can replace the original wood handguard with it, and you're pretty much back to the original configuration. There's also a broader context to consider. Some might think this kind of transformation as a potential solution for a fantastical apocalyptic scenario, arming oneself with a modernized firearm for home defense. But the reality is there's far more effective options for both community and personal security that don't compromise a historical artifact. It is essential to weigh the sentimental and historical significance against perceived tactical advantage. So again, that is something important to consider. But if you really did have that bug to have one of these and modernize it, and folks, I will say, we've gotten to enough time now where these sort of bubbas or these sort of mods in and of themselves can be considered kind of retro. Because if you were around in the 70s, if you wanted a kind of 70s retro rifle, the 70s or 80s, these were extremely popular. There was a lot of M1 carbines around at that time, and these could easily be made into something like that. And it was not uncommon to see rifles like this in thrift stores. It's not uncommon to see them like that now, where you can find an M1 carbine in one of these Chocate stocks, or one of the other many polymer stocks that were made for it. But if you did want to go down that road and you got a reproduction like this one, in that case, you're not really destroying anything historical. You might be destroying the image of something historical, but you're really not harming any history at that point, because a reproduction isn't really part of history. It's an homage to history, but that's really about it. All right, folks, I think this video has gone on long enough. I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into modernizing an M1 carbine and want to see more projects like this, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more in-depth reviews, and please share your thoughts and hit that notification bell so that you know when all of our videos drop. Again, thank you everyone for joining us. Remember to stay sharp, stay ready, and keep on prepping.